Now let's take a home economics moment. You know, we talked about building a good formula for putting your meals together. And we talked about the fact that if you watch the show, you know that I gave you a plan. So let's talk about that plan. I talked about, and I've got my notes here to make sure that I don't mess up. I talked about the 4-part budget meal formula. And what that is that when you're putting your meal together, there are 4 parts of it that you want to think about. The first part is your protein anchor. That can be your beans, your lentils, eggs, chicken, tuna, whatever your protein is, and even tofu goes under the protein anchor. Then you want your bulk builder. That's going to be things like rice or pasta, potatoes, bread, tortillas, some oats. All of those things come under the bulk builder. Then here's the part I love, the veggie volume. You can add as many vegetables as your heart desires. So you can use frozen vegetables, fresh vegetables, cabbage, carrots, celery, onions, greens, tomatoes, spinach, and the list just goes on. Now, also, number 4 is a 4-part. The 4th part is going to be, what kind of sauce or seasonings are you going to use? And if you look right over here, I've got a little tray where I keep my favorites go-to seasonings so that when I'm preparing a meal, I've got those seasonings ready. Now, I also have a tray of special seasonings of things that I love that are in the refrigerator that I can just pop that tray out. And depending upon the cuisine, if it's Asian, I've got certain Asian sauces that I'm going to use or I may put together myself. And of course, if it's Mexican, you got certain things that you're going to want to have for a Mexican cuisine. But this 4-part budget meal formula works. And today, we're practicing it with the recipe that we're going to put together. Today, we're going to be putting together a small batch of delicious plant-based lentil vegetable soup. And we're going to do it in a different vessel. I'm using my aroma rice cooker because I'm only doing a small amount. So what we're going to do is that we're going to start here. And the first thing that we're going to do is to put in our onions, our celery, and our ketchup. All right, let's get those in. All in. Okay. Now these are going to go into the freezer. I went ahead and prepped some extras for the rest of the week, so they'll go into the freezer. We're also going to need a few potatoes, and I'm only using about 1.5 cups of some Yukon Gold potatoes, and they're already diced. I had prepared those earlier in the week as well, and we're going to need 2 cans of lentils. So I'm going to get those ready. We're going to open them. We're going to rinse them off well, and then we'll add them to our soup. We have our 2 cans in our vessel, and what we need to do at this point is to add some tomatoes. And I had a can of whole tomatoes that I had used last week. So when I didn't use them all, I decided that I would just put them in the freezer. So I put them into these little 2-cup containers. I'm going to use both of them. And of course, they're rolling everywhere. Okay, so there's our tomatoes. They're going to melt down into the soup. So got everything here. Okay, it's time to do a little seasoning. Now, I'm going to start with some no salt seasoning. Let me get that ready. All right, we're going to start with 1.5 teaspoons of no salt. Ooh, that smells so good. It's got a little citrusy, lemony flavor and scent. So that's going to give us some nice flavor. I'm also going to include my house seasoning, and I'm going to put in a heaping teaspoon of house seasoning, and if I need more, I'll go back and add that. But for now, one heaping will do. I'm also going to add, remember in our formula that we use, we've got our builder, we have our lentils that we're going to be using, and that's part of our protein. We got lots of veggies, and we're going to add some nutritional yeast. So let's get that in. And I'm going to add at least 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast, at least 2, because that's going to give it good flavor as well. So 2 heaping teaspoons of nutritional yeast, and I'm going to add some of my dried vegetables. Now, these are dried mixed vegetables. They're in my Amazon storefront, and you can certainly enjoy have the benefits of that. But the nice thing about this is that these will cook down very nicely. I'm going to put in about, I guess that's about 1/4 of a cup. And that's where I'm going to start. If I need to add more, I can. Now, obviously, because we have dried vegetables, we have to have lots of liquid. Now, we're going to start with, I've got 4 cups of vegetable broth. I'm going to see where that gets us. That's 4 cups. Let me add just a tiny bit of liquid. And as these vegetables soak up that liquid, I will add more. So that takes care of that. Here's our, I'll give all of this a little zhuzh. Get those tomatoes down into the liquid because we want them to cook up. The lentils are going to cook. I'm telling you, this is really going to be good. Later on, about halfway through the cooking, we'll give it a taste. And if we need to add more seasonings, we certainly will. Now, you notice I did not add any minced garlic, and that was because in my house seasoning, I have garlic powder in there already. So if I need extra, I can always add extra. So we got this all together. I'm going to get it plugged in, and we'll be ready to put the top on it. I have more broth, just in case I need it. Oh, you know what I forgot? I wanted a little meaty feel, so you know I always have mushrooms. So I'm going to add about, this is really about a cup of mushrooms that I've chopped up. I'm going to get those into the mix. Oh yeah, this is going to be so good. I'll just give it a taste already. Tastes good already, and we haven't added any more seasoning at all. So I need to get this plugged in. Okay, once I plug it in, all I have to do is say, go. Our soup is really bubbling, and as you can see, it's pretty thick. So I already know I'm going to add, first of all, I'm going to go through and take my spoon and crush up those tomatoes that we had added, and my tomatoes were whole. Now you'll see in the recipe that it says to use diced tomatoes. I'm going to add more broth, because after all, this is a soup. So I've put in about 3 more cups of liquid. I knew our vegetables would soak up most of those liquids. And as you come across the tomatoes, just give them a chop. Always use what you have in your pantry. If you don't have diced tomatoes, then you can either cut up the tomatoes, or you can with a knife or with scissors, either way. Now, while we're doing this, this is a great time to give this a taste. Good flavor. And I'm going to let this continue to cook. Well, guess what? It's about that time. Our soup is on warm. And you know, we added the additional liquid to it. So I'm looking at the consistency and it looks amazing. Oh my goodness. It's nice and hearty. And, oh man, this is great. Now, I think what I'm actually going to do is to go ahead and add, I have just a little bit of vegetable broth still left. I'm going to put that little bit in. Just to add to the soupiness of the soup. Oh yeah, oh yeah. This is nice and hot. Oh yeah, it's going to bring all of that to a great temperature. Our vegetables look tender. You get a spoon. Now let me just show you. I have these little super cubes, so I know we're going to have some left. So what I'm going to do is that I'm actually going to take some of this out. And I'm going to put them in our cubes. And then that way, if I want later, I can certainly go back, add more just broth, and have a soup starter with everything there. And, oh yeah, that's perfect. Let me do one more. That's going to be great. So I can come back later in the week and just pop one of these cubes out, one for each of us, add a little extra broth, and we will be ready to go. I love these little cubes. So what I'll do, I'll put the top on it, and I'll hold off for now because there may be just a little more, and if so, I'll put it in this last container. But for now, let's get our soup ready. I know the big guy is waiting for his nice big bowl of soup. Oh, that looks wonderful. So that's his, and I'm going to put mine together because it's been a very chilly day today. And I want to make sure that we have lots of good hearty vegetables. And I like mine a little thicker, where he likes his a little soupier. So let's give all of this a taste. And what I'm going to do first is that I think I'll take his to him and let him get started. And then we'll come back and have some together. Have to have a napkin. So, it's ready to go. Now, let's take a taste and see how we're doing. I did not add any additional seasoning. Oh, that's good. Guys, you just don't know. This is amazing. And considering that we did it in our little rice cooker here, now, of course, we could have done it on the stove. We could have done it in a slow cooker, but in about an hour, this was ready. And I love that. Nice and fast. And the flavors are just amazing. Oh, this is good. Now, let me just say, I can't wait to see what tomorrow's going to hold, because tomorrow we're going to come up with another plant-based meal right here for you. Stay tuned. Now let's take a quick look at what I picked up at the grocery, because there were a few things I needed to make sure were here in the house. So let's start at the front. I have these little Cheez-It snaps. I didn't pick those up, but the big guy did. We also have some corn chips, and we have some Doritos, but last night they got into the Doritos, so they've got a clip on them. I also picked up 4 boxes of veggie broth, and I like this particular brand. Is Simple Truth Organic, and it works very well in most of my recipes. I also picked up some canned goods. I like their Kroger, actually this is Del Monte Fiesta corn that works out real well. Fiesta corn, black beans, some seasoning, some onions, celery, green peppers, add some extras, and you've got a great dish. I also picked up some garden vegetable soup by Progresso, just to be able to have something quick if I'm hungry. Picked up some, these are fire roasted tomatoes. They are delicious. So keep those the next time you go to the grocery. Get you a few cans. I guarantee you'll love them. Now, I also picked up some what they call whole green beans. So they're going to be a little longer than the normal green beans, but they look very nice in your dish and they taste great. I needed some canned pintos because sometimes you just don't have time to go through the soaking process and the long cook in order to get these pinto beans the way you want them. So sometimes you just want a good can of pinto beans. So I picked up Lux, and they're here. As well as I picked up 2 what's called Suma oranges. I had a chance to pick these up, and they are really very good. But they're unusual looking. They've got a large navel, and they taste great. So they smell good. So if you have a chance to buy those, try them out. See how they taste. I also picked up bananas because we needed some for our shakes. Picked up some ears of corn that I can use either just as ears and roast them, or I can cut the corn off the cob and throw them into, say, a taco bowl. The big guy likes to always have some grapefruit, and he likes ruby red. So we picked up a nice large bag of ruby red grapefruits for him, as well as, since I took it with me, as well as we picked up some quick rice, and this is the long grain and wild rice. It has herbs and seasonings, and when you're coming in, you don't have time to fix your rice from scratch, or maybe you didn't get to pre-cook the rice, then these little packets work out very well. They're microwavable, short, sweet, and they're done. Now, here's the big guy's stash. He had these sweet and salty snack bars or chewy granola bars that he likes, so I try to keep those on hand, as well as I had to pick up a few things for our coffee ministry at church, so I picked up some more Swiss Miss packages to have available for the kiddos, and I picked up a box of crunchy Nature Valley bars, which the big guy likes as well. He likes to have a couple of those in the morning. We picked up some chili lime cashews. You know, he has to have his little snacks. And he also picked up this huge jar of dry roasted peanuts. Now, can I control what he likes? No. So that's why they're there. I thought I saw a dish that I think, a recipe that I'm going to put together using sweet potatoes. So I picked up 2 sweet potatoes that we're going to get prepped this week, and we're going to put it together. And it even has tofu in it, but it is something that I think even the big guy will like. As well as I had regular yellow and white onions. I didn't have any red onions. And you know, sometimes you want a red in your dish. Red onions have a little bit different taste, but they are awfully pretty when you're cooking. So, one red onion will do it. So, this was a short and sweet grocery haul. But you know what? There are a couple of other things we need to talk about. Preparing tofu can sometimes be a little daunting, but you know what? We're going to use the tools we have. I wanted my tofu to be in nice little cubes, and this is nice firm tofu. And so because of that, I used my rack that I normally place bread or cookies on, and I thought it's got the perfect little squares. So I'm taking my tofu and just giving it a little press, and you're going to see that we're going to come out with the perfect size tofu. And you know, the nice thing about this is that it's going to go into the dish that we're going to prepare tonight perfectly. Tonight's dinner is one that we're going to put together. It's not going to take us long at all. And it's going to be a little bit different. I'm going to make sure I have everything on. I'm going to put my pan on a medium high for now. I want that to get nice and hot. And once my skillet is hot, we're going to add just a touch of oil. We're going to use some grapeseed oil tonight. And we're going to start with some yellow potatoes and some sweet potatoes. They're both going to be in this, but I have stored them in water. So I'm going to pour the water off. I did that just to keep them fresh. And that's going to be a part of our bulk builder, is going to be the potatoes. For our protein tonight, the protein anchor is going to be tofu. And I'll show you how I went about preparing this tofu in advance. And we're going to put it in, it's going to mix in. And for those who may not be a fan of tofu, I think you're going to like it. So, our pan is pretty hot. Let me turn that up just a little bit higher. And it's ready to go. Now, also I have some peppers that I've cut up. And you could use yellow peppers, red peppers, green peppers, whatever kind of bell peppers that you like. I also need some chopped greens. So tonight, I just happened to be in Kroger's, and they had some chopped kale on sale. So some of the kale is going to be going into this as well. So we've got our veggie volume, we've got our bulk builder, and we have our protein. And then when it's time for the seasonings, we'll put that all together. So let's get started. So our pan is nice and hot. I'm going to add some oil, about a tablespoon of oil. Give that a good mix. And in this, we're going to start our potatoes. So I'm going to add some the yellow Yukon, and the sweet potato. Here's the sizzle. And I'm going to pretty much keep these moving around because I want them to get just a little toasty. So I have to make sure that I let them sit. So I'm making sure they're on the bottom. I'm going to add some salt. Let me see if I have salt over here. I don't. But you know, potatoes don't come salted. And we try to season each layer as we're putting it into the pan. Now, you know, anytime you want something to brown, you've got to make sure that you leave it on the bottom of the surface. So I'm going to let this sit here for about 3 minutes. I'm going to say 2 to 3 minutes. And then I'll start to flip. And once we do that, then we'll be ready to move on. Now I'm taking my paddle and just kind of run it under the bottom because while I want them to sear just a little bit, I don't want them to burn because remember we've got sweet potatoes that are going to be that are going to stick pretty quickly. So while that's working, we're going to add some house seasoning. But you want this savory. This is not a sweet dish. And I've got a teaspoon of house seasoning that I'm starting with. That's all I'm going to start. 1 teaspoon. And we'll add more as it goes. I'm also going to add a teaspoon of no salt seasoning. Smells wonderful. We're also going to add in a little bit toward the end some curry powder that I have from a friend. I have a friend who provides me with certain seasonings, and when she does, oh my goodness, I get the best. Now I have about a teaspoon of paprika. That just means it's going to have a little color. Just a teaspoon. It smells good. Now we're letting that continue to cook. And I'm going to put the top on these because I do want the potatoes to cook. So let's give them about 5 minutes. Well, I can smell my potatoes, and they certainly smell good. They got a little toasty, and we're ready to move on. I'm going to turn it down just a little bit because I don't want it to burn. I really don't. All right, those potatoes have had a chance to steam. So, in the center, we're going to make a well, and we're going to add our peppers that we prepared. Put them in the middle. I've got about a cup or so, cup and a half. I didn't measure closely. Of peppers. That's going to add a little moisture to our pan. And also, I've got thyme. I have to take thyme. I have about 2 cups of diced tofu that I'm going to add also to the center. And on top of my tofu, I'm going to add a little bit of black salt. I'll do it with the end of my spoon so I don't have to get another one. That's going to give it that little eggy, sulfury taste that we want, since we're not eating eggs. I'm going to need a little more. It adds a little. Let's see, I think I am going to have to get another spoon. Okay. Mix our tofu. Give that some thyme. We've got our salt in there. We've got the tofu. The peppers are in, of course the potatoes are in, and now it's time to add the curry powder. Our house seasoning is in. I'm going to add a teaspoon of curry powder, and if you like more, you can certainly add a little more. I'm not going to get too heavy with it, but that's where we're going to start. With the teaspoon, I'm going to add a little thyme to it. Everything a good stir. Smells good. I'm going to add a little bit of veggie stock just to make sure I have enough liquid in there to cook our chopped kale. This is true organic. It's about a cup. And I'm going to start to add, I'm probably going to use most of this bag. So that's where we're going to start. If you find a couple of stems that are a little too big, you know what to do, just take them out. But for the most part, these bags are pretty good. Now, you know, this is going to wilt down to just about nothing. I placed the top on our container, and I'm not sure where the camera stopped. But you know, we added in our greens, and we added in most of those greens. I'm going to add in just a touch of soy. At this point, our mixture looks great. And I think I only have a little bit left here of the greens, and I don't want to waste any. So I'm going to make sure that any big stems are gone if I can. And I'm going to add the rest of that bag. I do have a couple of stems. I always take those out because you're going to find them when you get a bag of greens. You're going to get some stems. It's not like you've done it at home. So I'm just going to get that stirred up. We have more than enough salt, all that good stuff. If you want to add red pepper flakes, you could certainly do that. I have not done that, and you know that's unusual. But I'm going to let the big guy season that part himself. And let me get a fork. Got a little tofu. I've got some of the greens. I've got some potato. Let's give it a taste. Oh yeah. Turn it down. Our curry powder is a little spicy, so I don't need any extra seasoning whatsoever, so that's a good thing. And I'm just cleaning up some of those stems. And guess what? In less than about 10 to 15 minutes, we are finished. Got the stove on low. We're going to pause it, let it stay here. Dinner is ready. When I tasted our dish, the greens were just a little bit bitter. So I'm going to add a couple of extra things at the end that will help to take that bitterness away. First, I'm starting with my go-to, a dash of ketchup, because it's going to add a little bit of tomato, a little bit of sweetness, and all of that bitterness will be gone. In addition to that, I remembered I had some little cherry bomb tomatoes that were in the refrigerator that need to be used. So I'm going to get those into the mix and then we'll be ready to serve. Now notice, after I looked at it, I thought it needs a little something else. And so I'm going to add some of my little cherry tomatoes to it. Okay, here we are. Doesn't that look amazing? You see our potatoes, you see the greens, they're cooked, the peppers. It's going to be well, let's taste it. This really is very good. And very healthy. I like this. Now, you saw that skillet, and this is all that is left of that skillet. It was absolutely delicious, and by adding those little cherry tomatoes at the end, added such a freshness that it totally changed the dish. Now, the only thing that it probably needed for the big guy was to add a little more salt, but it was perfect for me. I liked it the way it was, and I think he might have added a couple of shakes of black pepper. But you know, those kind of things are things that are personal choices. So we used our 4-part budget meal formula. We put together a delicious vegetable skillet, and dinner was served in less than 15 minutes. So join me in the kitchen any day at Ebony, Ivy, and Thyme. And if you have time, check out some more of those budget-friendly meals right here.